It's me, Maria Sandoval, and I will be teaching you a few little notes on temperature and temperature changes and conversions, such as Kelvin, Celsius, and Fahrenheit, and how to work with those in between them. So, here are some interesting temperatures you may want to keep in mind, just little fun facts. We're going from 10 to the 4th Kelvin to 0 Kelvin, which is absolute 0 in Kelvin, which is the lowest attained temperature, which is actually 10 to the negative 9th in Kelvin. Moving on is 27 in Kelvin, which is the boiling point of neon. 90, which is the boiling point of oxygen. 120 Kelvin is what night feels like on the moon. 140 is the Jupiter cloud tops. 273 is the melting point of H2O, otherwise known as water, here on Earth. That's the melting point here. And so 370 is what the day feels like on the moon, and then 373 is the boiling point of H2O here. 600 is the melting point of lead here. 1,337 is the melting point of gold in Kelvin. 3,683 is the highest melting point of a metallic element, tungsten. And then 6 times 10 to the third point. 6 times 10 to the third is what the surface of the sun. The interior is 10 to the 7th in Kelvin. And we haven't even hit 10 to the 4th in Kelvin. So, it can get pretty intense. So, freezing and boiling points of water. We're talking H2O. These are the boiling points and freezing points of water in all three temperature sections, I guess you would call them. I don't know. So Celsius is the one that I think the world uses. Fahrenheit is the US. Kelvin is a scientific one, I think. So we're going to start off with Fahrenheit. So 32 degrees Fahrenheit is freezing point of water here in the US if you use Fahrenheit. And then 212 is the boiling point of water. So when you're boiling a pot of water, it needs to hit 212 degrees. If you're going to freeze a cube of ice, it needs to hit 32 Fahrenheit. Either way. Notice that Fahrenheit, later on when we talk about Celsius, they both have degree points, and Kelvin, which we're moving on to, does not. So 373.15 Kelvin, if you remember from the fun facts earlier, is the boiling point of water on the Kelvin temperature scale. And if you remember even better, you would know that 273.15 Kelvin is the freezing point, because we also mentioned that on the previous slide. So, the boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius, and the freezing point of water is 0 degrees in Celsius. That's a pretty easy one. 100, 0, and then Fahrenheit 212, 32. Pretty simple, rememberable ones. So this is the 3 temperature scales. Something you may want to save. Pretty valuable information to remember. So Kelvin absolute, that's what they put it as. The symbol is K. The freezing point, the boiling point, and when it hits absolute 0, and how to convert it. So it goes through that. Celsius, remember, it shows here that Kelvin only has the letter. Leave it without the degree symbol. Celsius and Fahrenheit are the only temperature scales that actually have degrees on them. Kelvin does not hold 1. So, the size relative to K, so I guess talking about Celsius here, it would be 1. And then the freezing point, the boiling point, and absolute 0. And then the equations are there. Same for Fahrenheit, 5 to the 9th. In that, you would have your whatever temperature you're converting to, put it there, multiply it to 5, and then divide it by 9. So, these temperature scales we're about to talk about. Kelvin K. He's the guy without the degree symbol. Remember that, no degree symbol on Kelvin. The absolute temperature scale begins at absolute 0 and has only positive values. Note that Kelvin is not used with the degree sign. No degree sign. Remember that. Celsius, degree sign, C. The Celsius scale is based on the freezing and boiling points of water. This temperature scale used most commonly around the world. The Celsius and Kelvin scales use the same size degree, although their starting points differ. Because remember, Kelvin starts at absolute 0. No positives, or no negatives. Only positive values on Kelvin, and it starts at 0. Fahrenheit, degree, F. Remember, degree symbol. The Fahrenheit scale is commonly used in the U.S. Like I said, if you are from the U.S., it is something that you are used to. That means it is something you need to get used to converting as soon as possible. The Fahrenheit scale is commonly used in the U.S. The Fahrenheit scale has a different degree size and different 0 points than both the Celsius and Kelvin scales. So he's the tricky one. Temperature conversions. These are valuable to learn for later. So if you are ever to convert something in K into something, you would right here. I usually have a pointer, but I can't use it right now. So you would put your degrees in Celsius and add 273.15. That would be your answer. Then you would put your degrees in Kelvin minus 273. It looks complicated. These are the numbers. But it's really simple. Here, you multiply by 9 and divide by 5, whatever number is in here. And you add 32. Here, same again. Whatever you have in here, you are going to multiply, divide, and minus 32. These are equations that you are going to want to save and look back to. And that is all for this presentation. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you learned. I learned a lot, like I said. In each of these I learned a little bit more, so thank you. Have a great day.